Before yesterday, Donald Trump had not visited the U.S. Capitol since before the deadly January 6th insurrection that he had incited in hopes of overturning a Democratic election and staying in power. It was an insurrection in which even Republican lawmakers scattered and sheltered in fear for their lives. And at the time, some Republican leaders harshly condemned Trump for it.
There's no question, none, that President Trump is practically and morally responsible for provoking the events of the day.
Trump and I, we've had a hell of a journey. All I can say is count me out. Enough is enough. I've tried to be helpful.
So you may have heard that Trump returned to the scene of the crime yesterday at the invitation of House and Senate Republicans who not only greeted him as a victor, but tried to retcon their earlier criticisms of Trump's tyranny.
Senator, how is it seeing the former president?
We had a good meeting. Yeah, but we shook hands a few times. He took questions from the audience, and it was an entirely positive session.
Everybody in that room is dying for him to get back in office. It was the single best meeting I've ever seen between the United States Republican senators and President Trump, and I can't wait to have him back.
Incredibly, that glowing reception from former Trump critics in the party was just the tip of a massive kiss-up iceberg, as Republican senators feted Trump with a birthday cake a day ahead of his 78th birthday, and then they lined up to applaud and sing the praises of a dear leader who currently holds no office, but does hold complete sway over their re-election efforts, even as he awaits sentencing for his Manhattan election interference conviction.
He's electric. He's got an incredible fastball, and I think that it was just exciting after all he'd been through how strong this man is.
He was the team captain, and we were glad he was leading us.
He said very complimentary things about all of us. We had sustained applause. He said, I'm doing a very good job. I mean, we're grateful for that.
One of my favorite speeches. He came in, talked to the conference, was very honest. He was funny. He was joking around constantly with everyone. He was really sweet to me.
He was electric, boogie woogie. A lot of mainstream media reporting seems to be at a loss as to how to frame yesterday's bizarre, unprecedented Republican embrace of Trump and his 34 felony convictions. A lot of it read like this social media post from the Associated Press, who went crazy with the adjectives, calling it a triumphant return that energized Republicans who were reinvigorated by his White House bid. But if you zoom out for the big picture here, it's hard to argue with this description of the day's events. From Talking Points memo publisher Josh Marshall on social media, quote, Pyongyang moment in the rotunda, the maniacal clapping in unison, Marjorie Taylor Greene almost breaking down in tears because Trump smiled at her, total North Korean vibe. Remember, Donald Trump is a man who, as president, showered praise on North Korea's dictator Kim Jong-un, exchanging love letters with him and pining for the kind of deference that Kim got from his subjects.
Hey, he's the head of a country, and I mean, he is the strong head. Don't let anyone think anything different. Right. He speaks and his people sit up at attention. I want my people to do the same.
Nobody in North Korea would dare to think of indicting or convicting Kim Jong-un for his crimes, right? To Donald Trump, that's respect. But you already knew this. You probably remember during his presidency, there were plenty of ways Trump tried to emulate dictators and strongmen. It was evident in the behavior that got him impeached twice and his burning desire for a self-glorifying Soviet-style military parade with tanks celebrating him in the streets of Washington, an idea that his top generals had to talk him out of. Those elements have always been there. But the difference now is that Donald Trump is a convicted criminal who is facing several more serious criminal trials, and he is desperate to avoid jail, to bend the entire American justice system to accommodate him, his past crimes, and any possible future ones. And the Republican Party is prostrating itself before him, ready to help him in that task. Former Capitol Police Sergeant Aquilino Ganell was beaten by rioters with a flagpole while defending the Capitol on January 6th. He writes about this in his book, American Shield, The Immigrant Sergeant Who Defended Democracy. He joins me now. Aquilino, thank you so much for your service.
Thanks for having me here, Jason. Today.
I want to start with this. I've also interviewed Harry Dunn. I have a tremendous amount of respect for what you all did, what you continue to suffer. Just your first reaction to seeing Donald Trump, the man responsible for that violence, walking back into the Capitol building, not in handcuffs, not in a jumpsuit. How does that make you feel?
It was very disappointing. All the sacrifices that we did on January 6th to keep all those same members that yesterday applauded and greeted the former president as if he did something great at the Capitol. They were running for their lives, and they seem to forget how fearful they were running for their lives on that day. It's astounding that, instead of giving the police officers that type of recession, they had chosen to give that to the former president, the same guy who put their lives and our lives at risk. Unfortunately, that's you can't depend on the Republican elected officials any longer to defend the Constitution or the democracy, because they only had fealty for one person, and that person is Donald Trump.
I want to ask you a little bit about this, because this is the part that gets me. And I certainly couldn't be any angrier than you. I wasn't there. You were making my and all of our audience's life safe.
Trying to keep it down.
Yeah. It's infuriating to me, not just because of Trump, but how did it feel seeing these senators and congressmen? Because as you said, they're hiding behind desks. They're begging you. They're running down the hallway asking to stay in your apartment, right? And here they are praising this same guy. Your friends who are still there, working there, does that make it difficult to go to work knowing that these cowards?
It does. I mean, one of the things that happened after January 6th is that I lost my career because of that horrible day. And when I was still in the process of recovering, I had this struggle in my mind, like, okay, what if there's another January 6th? Are the Republican elected officials, are they going to have my back to help me close the doors, or do I have to watch the threat in front of me and them behind me?
Right.
So how can I do my job in a neutral way, in an impartial way, that I do, a split-second decision that is probably going to cost somebody's life, or either mine or theirs, or the member themselves. And some of these members, on January 6th, they knew who put their lives at risk.
Right.
And we did our job. We protected both elected officials, both from Republican and Democrat, the same. I protected your elected officials just the same way I protected Marjorie Green, or AOC, or Nancy Pelosi, or Chuck Schumer's. We don't care. And I can only wonder how the officer feel yesterday, because it bothers me, and I wasn't even there. And instead of holding him accountable for it, instead of showing him and denouncing him, they had chosen to welcome him as a hero, as if he did something great. What was so great about an attack on the Capitol?
Right.
What was so great? And, about offering pardons for the same people, blanket pardons for the rioters who attacked the police officers, and now, like you said, he wants people to stand at attention, like like a dictator, flirting with authoritarianism, and you have the whole backing of the Republican Party. That's not Ronald Reagan's party anymore.
Oh, no, not at all. And I want to highlight this, because it's not just national. That's one of the things I think people need to understand. It's not just the cowardly Republicans and the seditionists who are in office. You were actually booed. You and Officer Dunn were booed at the Pennsylvania State House. I know, Harry, I've now met you. How did that feel? Because it's one thing, again, to have these sort of cowardly seditions, but to go to a state house of regular men and women who you would think would understand what you do more. How did that feel? And what do you think that says about where we are in America right now?
Those elected officials from the Republican side in Pennsylvania who chose to walk and turn their back, literally turn their back on former officers who defended their colleagues at the Capitol, they don't have no conscience about what we did. And if they did realize what we did on January 6th to keep all the mob all members of the mob away from the Capitol and actually saving their colleagues, they would be more receptive to what we had to say. And, you know, we were there just to observe the chamber, and you know, we were not going to give a speech. That was not our point. But the mere fact that they recognized all the people that were in the chamber, all their visitors, and then when our name came up, they decided to walk away and jeer at us for no reason. That was, to me, a slap in the face of the sacrifices that we did on January 6th. We were officers at that time,
right.
And they seem to do the usual of election talking points that we support the police, and they don't. If they did, they would have met with us, at least give us a chance to have a conversation, but they were not even willing to do that.
And show you the respect that you absolutely deserve. First off, thank you so very much for your time. You are an American hero. Former U.S. Capitol Police Sergeant Aquilino Gonell, thank you so much for joining us tonight.